Hello, awesome Algoma University students. This is Raquel. I'm the learning strategist here at AlgomaU, and I'm going to do a couple really short videos that should help you out with some studying. Today's video, the first one I'm doing, is on scheduling, location, and focus. So I'm going to get right into it so I can make this really quick so you can get a lot out of it in a short time. Scheduling studying for exams. So right now, you probably should have already started, but if you haven't, then it's time to really get a plan in place. So here's what happens. We routinely underestimate how much time something will take. Oh, that just takes a few hours of studying. But then what we also do is we overestimate our ability to accomplish things. So when we put those two things together, we're kind of screwed, right? We've underestimated the amount of time and overestimated our abilities. So trust me when I say it's going to take you longer than you think to study. Studying takes a long time. So in terms of scheduling studying, what that means is it means looking ahead at your exams and figuring out a plan. How am I going to get the amount of studying done I need in time? Our brain works better when we spend shorter time frames over a longer period in studying. So for example, if you were going to study for 12 hours for an exam, you could study 12 hours the day before. And I know that some of you are going to do that, but it's not the best approach. That's too much for our brain to take in at once. You could study for 2 days before, 6 hours each, still not great. You could do 4 days before, 3 hours each time, or even 6 days before, 2 hours each time. When we spread it out over a longer period of time, our brain has a lot more time to absorb it. So therefore, we're going to remember more. Therefore, we're going to do better on the final exam. And that's why it's important to start studying now. So now back to that 12-hour thing. Some of you are thinking, oh, is that how much I should be studying for exams, 12 hours? I chose the number 12 because the math was easy. I can't tell you how much time you should spend on your exams because there's a lot of different things here that come into play. Did you have test 1 and test 2? And therefore, maybe only a few weeks ago were you studying for test 2? Should be relatively fresh in your mind. Or did you have a midterm way back when, 6 or 7 weeks ago, and you haven't done anything to study or look at the material since? It's going to take you way longer than 12 hours. So there isn't really a magic number. 12 is probably not enough for most of your classes, truthfully. You need to put in a lot more time than that to do well. So start studying now, spread it out so you're not overwhelming yourself. The next thing on my list here is location. Where are you studying? If you're sitting in the main floor of our library, which is really turned into a busy social place, which is awesome, but it's probably not the best place for you to be studying because you're going to be looking at who's coming in, what's happening, and it really is going to affect your focus. So the best way to study is in a place that's relatively distraction-free, where you can really, really focus on what you're doing so that you can get the most out of the least amount of time. If I'm going to spend 2 hours today studying something, I want those to be 2 awesome, focused, great hours so that at the end of it I get something. Not 2 hours, but yet I talked to this friend, I was texting over here, I watched some funny YouTube videos, I went to Tim's to get a coffee. That's not really studying, and that doesn't have the level of focus that you need. So you're probably not going to get enough out of the material, which then is going to impact how things go on the final exam. So let's quickly recap. Studying is going to take longer than you think, and you need to start now. Create a plan, put it all together. You also may have to study for more than one exam at a time. So switch it up in a day so that then you're covering everything at the same time. Think about where you're studying. Is it going to really help me by sitting in the library, or would I be better in staying in my room? Maybe I should come to the quiet floor of the library in a study carrel instead of sitting in the middle of speakeasy. Okay, so think about that. And then also focus. Do I need to turn my phone off? Do I need to shut down YouTube? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm really getting the best focus that I can when I study? So that's it for this quick video. The next one, we're going to cover a couple more things. So that's it for this one. Bye. All right. Hi, everybody. It's Raquel again. This is study video number 2. In the first one, I talked about your study schedule, your location, and your focus. In this one, I'm going to talk about what, why, how example, the hard stuff, and active repetition. So the first thing that you're going to do when you think of studying is create study notes. Study notes are you condensing all of the information that you have. You can't study everything. You don't need to study everything. So it's an active process going through the material and determining what do I think I need to study, what can I sort of maybe not study as much, and really condensing and paraphrasing. So I'm writing down here, number 1, study notes. Creating study notes is actually studying. It's not like you say, well, I'll create study notes and then I will study. These are a really important part of the process. So one thing that you're doing is you're looking at the material and you're thinking, okay, I need to write down enough information, but I can't copy everything. So I'm really trying to paraphrase and synthesize things. One thing that can help you with your study notes is using the formula that I've come up with. And it starts with what is something, what is a concept, what is a definition. It could be who is a person, it could be the same thing. But university isn't about the what. The what is more just a regurgitation question. University is a little bit more about critical thinking. And so that's why our why, how questions are important. So what is something? Okay, that might be bolded in your book, that's easy to find. The next step is where do I get some details? Why is it important? How does it relate to this? Why is it a part of this? And that leads you to a little bit more analysis, and it leads you to digging a little bit more. Then you finish it off with an example that you can explain. So what I say is, think of everything when you're making your study notes as a 5-mark short answer question. That 5 marks comes from, what is it? It comes from details, which are your why, how questions or your analysis questions. And then you finish it off with an example that you can explain. And that's really important. You want to be able to explain why this is a good example of what it is. So this is a formula that a lot of short answer questions will follow on an exam. Not all, but a lot. So it gives you a great place to start in your study notes, because what we don't want is we don't want to focus only on the what. Now, the hard stuff. The hard stuff means what are the things you don't really get? And you need to tackle those. So you could make this decision, oh, it might not be on the test, so I'm not going to study it at all. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But generally what you need to do is in your study notes identify, what do I not know and how can I figure this out? Can I ask someone in the class? Can I go see the prof? Can I Google it? Can I find somebody else's words to explain it? But you have to tackle the hard stuff. And the last point is active repetition. Once you've got your study notes done, you need to go over those. And you need to go over them quite a few times, because what you're trying to do is move information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. And that requires active repetition. So that means reading it, saying it out loud. It works really well. It means rewriting it, processing it. What's a memory cue that I could use to help me remember this? Can I relate it to something that will help me remember it? So really actively repeating the information, and you're going to have to do it quite a few times to make sure that it really gets up here in your long-term memory. So these are the types of things that you're doing when you're scheduling your studying. All right, so schedule the time first, and then study notes, tackle the hard stuff, active repetition, go over it and over it. So that's the end of study video number 2, and in the next video I'm going to talk a little bit more about active repetition and what you can do there, but also about practicing retrieval. So that's that for this one. Hello again, my awesome AlgomaU students. It's Raquel, and this is my 3rd and final study video. So I'm going to talk about what quiz and recall is, practicing retrieval, and then how can I help you. So I've talked about your scheduling, your studying, your location. I talked about how to create study notes and active repetition. So now we're going to sort of continue and talk about what do you do once you've really started studying. So when you do a test, what you actually do is the opposite of what you do when you study. So when I study, here I am. I'm really probably not very happy that I'm studying, let's be honest. But what I'm doing is I'm putting information into my head. That's through my active repetition, saying it, reading it, writing it. Can I teach it to someone else? All of those things. So I'm putting the information into my long-term memory. Now, when I go to write a test, let's say that you studied really well and you're happy and you're confident about your test. Okay, when I go to write a test, what I do is the opposite. I retrieve information. I need to pull the information out of my long-term memory. So therefore, if I know that this is what I do on a test, I need to incorporate that as part of my studying. So quiz and recall is a really simple way to do that with your active repetition. So I've gone over a concept, I've gone over it a couple times. It can be as simple as turn your piece of paper over and just practice retrieving it. What was I talking about? What was I reading about? Do I remember what it is? Great, I do. Do it again. Do it again. I don't remember it? Okay, flip my paper back over, go over it again, go over it again, turn my paper over, can I retrieve it? So quiz and recall is something you're doing on the spot. It's really quick, it's happening quite frequently as you're going through studying your information. In terms of practicing retrieval on a bigger scale, you may want to actually create, I'll write it up here, a practice test. So the quiz and recall is really informal and fast. A practice test would be a little bit more formal. I've studied, let's say, a pretty big section. I'm going to create some test questions on my own, just using headings in my textbook. Turn the headings of your PowerPoints into questions. Good tip. And then what I'm going to do is put my study notes away, and I'm going to sit down with my piece of paper, and I'm actually going to do a practice test and see where I'm at with my retrieval. You don't fail a practice test. All you do is identify what's in your long-term memory and what isn't. So it's condensing. I understood this, I got this, I remembered this, but these things over here, no, I didn't really remember them all. So now I know the things I checked off, I just need a quick review and I'm good. It's in my long-term memory. The things I didn't remember, now I need to spend a little bit more time on. I'll go back and do my active repetition again. And so at the end of it, you have hopefully spent quite a bit of time studying, but it's been valuable time because you've been focused and you've really put in those good active strategies, and then you've routinely checked, am I remembering this? Is it in my long-term memory? And so hopefully it's going to be create a situation where you're feeling pretty confident going into the test. Now, how can I help you? At any step in all of these 3 videos, if there's anything that I can help you with, all you need to do is come and see me in the Learning Center. So I've already worked with quite a few students to help create a study schedule. We plan it out, especially ones where you have a lot of exams in a short period of time, and you're going to have to study for multiple exams at once. So we've mapped it out, we've created a schedule. It could be that I help you with your active study strategies. It could be, how do I create practice test questions? Anything in there, I'm very happy to help you with. So my office is in the Learning Center. You can just drop in and see me. You can always send me an email. So it's raquel.lato@algomau.ca, and we can set up a time to meet. Or you can give me a call too. So our number here, of course, is 949-2301, and my extension is 4225. So my job is to help you be a better student. You're not bothering me when you come and see me. That's what I'm here for. So I wish you the best of luck in exams. And if you're doing spring and summer semester, if there's anything I can help you with there in terms of planning out your semesters, especially if you're in that tight 6-week course, then don't hesitate. Come and see me. So that's it. Good luck, everybody. I wish you all the best.